Disclaimer: the following video contains an organized and objectified remix music tier list from the Super Smash Bros. Series. It contains provoking thoughts and concerns from each remix in the games, all coming from this one random guy on the internet. Music is subjective, so not everyone's thoughts and lists might match with myself and others, so please take this into consideration. There will be anger, rage, and a tiny hint of salt, so watch at your own risk. If you do enjoy this video, however, go ahead and give it a like and share it amongst your peers. And why not go ahead and comment on why my tier list is so bad and why my choices were not to your liking. I would love to see what you have to say after watching this video. All things considered, I do really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen in on what I have to say in this video. Now, without further ado, make sure you are in a comfy position with your headphones on. It's time for me to showcase the best of the best remixes that the Super Smash Bros. Series has to offer to you all. Please enjoy the video. Time for our top 50 ranking for the best of the best Super Smash Bros. Series remixes. Starting off with a remix that definitely needs no introduction, but I kinda want to do one anyways. This is one of the most eloquent, mystical, nostalgic, and all-around sensational Smash remixes from the great Shogo Sakai himself. This is the temple theme originally played in the NES game The Legend of Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Should be pretty obvious on where this song plays at, but it plays where Link traverses on one of the many dungeons, prominently called temples, throughout the game. Unlike the original chiptune music found on the original NES, this remix's instrumentation consists of strings, a synth, drum set, and a choir. All of this was played through a MIDI, and you can really tell from that quality standard type of perspective that this remix portrays. It has a very old school feeling to it while making it sound very distinct and mysterious, which I really love a lot. If anyone played Melee while growing up, all friend groups definitely had that one friend who wanted to play Temple, which was the biggest stage in the Smash series at the time. And when you chose this stage, well, I don't know about some of you, but it really feels like I'm getting whisked away to an unknown fantasy world whenever this piece of music plays in the background. The first opening moments for this remix are just pure bliss from the mandolin playing those first notes, with brisk air at the beginning, and then everything coming together all at once was just a tremendous feeling on my 6-year-old self. Shogo Sakai knew what the fuck he was doing for all of his musical scores in Melee. Pretty much all of them just had that gratifying atmosphere that just takes you to this whole new world. While I'm not really looking for Smash remixes with great atmosphere, I'm more so looking for remixes that have that actiony spirit to them, and the Melee Temple theme is more of a great atmospheric music piece, more than a battle theme. This remix doesn't really hold down the fort for its impact on the fight, but I will give it some major props on its presentation, with all the instruments playing key parts on it being whimsical and very vibey. Shoutouts to the choir for this piece, as well as the drum set. I do believe the choir here is fake and played through a synth. However, I just love the detail of them singing in the background to give the melody some spices or some added flair. And the drum set is not that gratuitous and provides an amazing beat to keep the music very upbeat. Could help be great background music to be had here in a fight for Smash, which I can appreciate. This remix pick was very nostalgia-pilled, so sorry if I wasn't too critical to kickstart us off in this top 50. But how could I not put this remix anywhere near the top? This remix deserves to be put as one of the best pieces of music that has ever graced the Smash series, and for that I'm putting this at number 50 on my tier list. We also have 2 more Melee remixes left to talk about in my tier list. Might be surprising to some that I didn't put this as the best Melee remix, but just you wait on why I did so as we continue down on today's video. Next up is another remix that also needs no introduction, is Firefield from the Super NES title F-Zero. This theme plays on the very last track of the game with the same name, Firefield. With a name such as Firefield, you already know this music track is going to be brimming with that hardcore fiery intensity. Even back on the Super NES, the original song was super upbeat and had a lot of flavor with its crazy melodic structure. The Smash remix brings it up a notch by keeping the same upbeat tempo while adding an awesome hard rock style. The electric guitar is simply amazing as the melody in this remix, while another backing electric guitar, bass guitar, a synth, and a drum set bring it all together for the background. Such a cool, stylish, and sick hard rock tune that Yusuke Takahama produced. This is also another fan favorite moment from Brawl's Subspace Emissary mode, where Donkey and Diddy Kong, Captain Falcon, and Olimar fight off a mob of the Subspace Horde while battling on a cruiser to the Island of the Ancients, and this remix is a song of choice for this sequence. I'm not sure how or why, but I assume this remix stuck out to a lot of people, and I think they might even consider that sequence of Subspace to be a top 10 favorite moment in the game, just because of Firefield playing in the background. I mean, what can I say, this remix is supreme in how epic it sounds, and this goes super well in a regular Smash fight too. However, the reason why I'm bringing this remix to rank 49 today is that it is very short. Actually, it loops around on the minute and 2-second mark, a very short remix to be playing in long drawn-out matches. This is also the shortest remix to be featured in my top 100, and for good measure, the shortest remix out of my top half of the tier list as well. I think this remix is literally being looped a third time now from this explanation alone. That is how repetitive and short this is. I've stated before that short remixes could be considered pretty drab and boring to most people that play in long matches, due to them being repetitive, and I doubt a lot of people don't want to listen to these short songs in their sessions, they want to experience songs that have more to them. But for the Brawl remix of Firefield, I would consider that to not be a hindrance because this remix is just super hardcore and fun to listen to while in matches. I've really considered this remix to be much higher than it already is in my drafts, just cause this is such an epic tune. But I think bringing it here is justifiable since this is so dang short, and it would be a disservice to a lot of the other remixes around this area that deserve a better ranking than this one, due to them having a lot more to them such as the runtime and more of a unique musical style. Don't get me wrong, the hard rock style is perfect for this type of remix, but I'm looking for more unique musical styles that I could consider to be a top tier remix. I can definitely see a lot of people putting this remix in their top 20s or 10s, but unfortunately you have to see it in this rank of my tier list. Rounding out the last of the Final Fantasy VII remixes, we have Aerith's theme. And fair warning, I'm going to be saying a lot of last remixes for this particular series, bit for most of this video. We are at the top of the top Smash remixes now, people, so it makes sense that I will be saying that more often now. Anyways, like most musical pieces that play throughout the adventure of Final Fantasy VII, this particular theme plays in key parts of the story that revolve around the party member, Aerith Gainsborough. But this theme most notably plays when the main antagonist, Sephiroth, kills her before the fight against the boss Jenova Life near the end of the game, probably in one of the most iconic scenes in video game history. Oh, I forgot to say spoilers on that last bit. Oops. But, I mean, the cutscene is very well known at this point, so I feel obligated to include that during my explanation. The remix takes the original Final Fantasy VII theme from the PlayStation 1 and turns it into a theatrical grand orchestra piece with a piano, strings, brass, woodwinds, percussion, and a lone harp playing the majority of the melody in the piece, as well as a beautiful woman opera singer joining in at the middle with a full-blown choir taking center stage at the beginning and ending of the remix. I feel that the choir and lone woman singer are the main part of this remix, They do such a resounding job on being somewhat joyful and sorrowful at the same time. And would it be alright to say that I almost cried when that female opera singer played her part when I first heard this remix in a game of Smash? I was taken aback from the emotion of this piece that I almost forgot that I was in the middle of a Smash game to begin with. Like, holy shit, this was some incredible stuff that I just witnessed here. I had to go into the sound menu and listen to this remix again and again until I was satisfied. I love every second of this remix, as you couldn't already tell. Not sure if I really want to listen to this remix all the time in Smash, however. It's not very intense, but it is very punctual with its presentation, and has a good mix of lightheartedness and upbeat nature to it that it does somehow fit to play in matches. I'm also not too sure if people will agree with me on this being the best Final Fantasy VII remix in Smash. I know that there are fans of Bombing Mission and the main theme of Final Fantasy VII, hell, even Cosmo Canyon has its fans. So I'm wondering if putting Aerith's theme as the best Final Fantasy VII remix in Smash was the best decision. But I do stand by it. It is my tier list after all, and you all should be well aware of that. Also forgot to mention that this remix was presented in the recent Theatrhythm Final Fantasy VII bar line rhythm game as a collab arrangement, just like with Cosmo Canyon that I said in the past. Just another cool detail on how awesome video game music really is. Coming up next is another Pokemon series remix. This is the Battle at the Summit from the 7th generation of Pokemon games, Sun and Moon. This plays at the very end of the game where the player must battle the champion of the region to claim the title of Pokemon Master. But this also plays when you're a champion as well, and will play when you battle for the title as reigning champ. Shoto Kageyama, who is the mainstay Pokemon composer for all of the main games, returns to produce this Smash remix. And wow, I gotta say that he really slammed it out of the park with this. The original Battle at the Summit was a full-blown orchestral composition with what you can expect from such. The Smash remix, on the other hand, keeps that orchestra structure throughout the entire piece, but now has an added backing drum set and bass guitar with an accompanying electric guitar that goes in tandem with the orchestra for the melody, while increasing the tempo just a tad from the original. Such a small change with adding the rock and roll elements into this piece wouldn't be such a drastic change-up, but Kageyama somehow made it work and just exceeded all expectations, in and out of a game of Smash. The lightheartedness of the orchestra while the intensifying electric guitar coming into play just makes everything so freaking cool, man. From a first listen, I honestly thought that this remix was just a nothing burger of being another one of those melodramatic orchestra pieces, and I expected this to be somewhat low on my tier list. But it was another don't judge a book by its cover type of situation. My favorite part has to be the ending portion of the remix, with a new key raise and that build up slowly going up and up. You don't even think it is even going to stop until it does. It's just so satisfying. They even inputted a small choir section into a few measures of this remix, something that I didn't realize that this section was even included until I put some headphones in. Man, this remix just hits all the right marks for me personally. The originality aspect for this remix is a bit lacking, however, so it drops a few points in that area. I was super mad at myself for not giving this remix a chance way back when, but after doing this project, it is time to redeem myself and put this remix where it belongs, at a top tier placement for my tier list. I'm just going to assume that this will probably be another hot take decision since this Smash remix is really high on my tier list, and I believe this is a fairly obscure music piece to some. Hope you guys are ready for more of these hot takes as we go closer down to the #1 Smash remix of all time. This is Lips theme from the Super NES game Panel de Pon. While Panel de Pon is a Japanese-only game, this game did eventually get localized in the West, being called Tetris Attack instead. Some more wacky gaming trivia for you all to learn. But Lips theme is only played in the Japanese version of the game while going through the tutorial section when you learn the mechanics of this silly little puzzle game. Kinda weird where this is a tutorial piece and not something that you listen to in a cutscene or for gameplay, but it is what it is, I guess. Going from the original song to this Smash remix, the original is very quaint and soft with a unique beat, since this is a tutorial song. After all, you wouldn't really want to have a very outgoing tune when you want to learn a game. At least, I don't want to have one that is very heavy-inducing. But this Smash remix, however, kinda disrupts that melancholic nature and turns it into a synth-pop tune with it being very upbeat, with an amazing electronic drum beat. Now, I know what I said previously, I normally am not a fan of this electronic style of music with an all-encompassing synth, but I'm going to hold myself to it and say that I don't give a fuck about that anymore and will be taking things a bit differently from now until the end. I really love this beat and melody and everything about this remix. First time listening to it back in Brawl, I was just enamored by how it sounds, and the vibey tone it produces just makes me smile every time I have the pleasure of listening to it. It's so amazing it still gives me goosebumps to this day, and if that doesn't amount to something, then I don't know what is. I seriously have been sleeping on Masafumi Takada's works for Smash and his whole video game musical career. He has some really interesting and genius works that cannot be understated. A few of these Smash remixes he produced were misses, but the bangers he made were phenomenal, and I believe that this was one of the few remixes he made that has just astounding quality to it. If you guys don't believe this remix is one of the best, I would just think that you're hating or just can't be moved by this awesome piece. I guarantee that if you play this remix in a game of Smash, you will be swayed by the awesomeness that is Lips theme. Trust me. Next up on the list will be another fighting game song, this one from the game Fatal Fury 2 called Curry Kitten. This song is played on Terry Bogart's stage called West Albuquerque in the game, and Curry Kitten is widely considered as Terry's main theme and is used in subsequent games that he has appeared in throughout the ages. The original song was done in a jazz-like musical style with horns playing the melody with an accompanying cello and drum set in the background, making it a smooth-like style but also having a little bit of tension added on, since this is a song from a fighting game after all. The Smash remix replicates the same jazzy-like style with an increased tempo, with more profound horns for the melody, with a rocking drum set, bass guitar, cello, and a piano taking the background to get that jazz-like atmosphere that we all know and love. And I didn't even mention the electric guitar and organ yet. Those two instruments appear over time throughout the remix, and they even have improvised solos in the middle of the piece, and they are just amazing to hear. And we can't forget about the train whistle, the main component to this piece. On the original Fatal Fury 2, the stage takes place on a train, and the original song brings in sounds such as a train whistle and the wheels going along with the train track. It definitely made the players feel like they were fighting on a train. While the train tracks were not present in the Smash remix, you can hear a faint train whistle in the beginning and ending portions of this remix. Such a super cool detail even if it's somewhat unnoticeable. But man, Iwadari just knows his stuff and how to bring out the fun of the party with the remixes that he makes. First time listening to this remix back at the Terry reveal trailer, I was just amazed on how good this sounds and I couldn't wait to hear it in a game of Smash, and I wasn't disappointed in the slightest. Even more proof that the King of Fighters Stadium stage is my favorite Smash stage of all time because it has a plethora of bangers such as this to play on that stage. So goddamn good. The remix, however, isn't very original. Having the same musical style from the original back on the Neo Geo brings it down a notch on the points factor I'm giving it. But the presentation doesn't disappoint one bit, and I'm still very happy that someone like Iwadari exists to make such killer remixes he made in Smash. Although the Stormy Saxophone 2 remix that he also made for King of Fighters Stadium is the one and only letdown. I'm still super salty about how that remix sounds. You gotta have at least one of those bad ones, right? And speak of the devil, we have yet another Noriyuki Iwadari remix to talk about. I'm gonna be discussing the only remix that was featured from the Nintendo Wii game Donkey Kong Country Returns, being Gear Getaway. This plays on the rocket barrel portion of the level Peaceful Pier, where Donkey and Diddy Kong traverse the level while avoiding obstacles along the way. This original song also plays in the sequel game, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze as well, for its own unique levels. Just like in the original song, this Smash remix also retains the jazzy-like nature with the loud and brassful horns playing the melody, with guitars, an organ, a drum set, and a bunch of percussion instruments setting the tone of the background. Can anyone believe that when I first listened to this music piece that I literally had chills down my spine on how good this sounded? I think I first heard it back on a Smash Direct presentation when they were showcasing a game mechanic or item, and I just remembered how amazing this is and I couldn't wait to play this when the game released. And when the game did release, I just put this remix as my highest probability tab for the Jungle Hijinks stage in Smash 4, and just went to town on it every time it popped up in the game. Man, good times. Until I realized how trash Smash 4 was, but that's besides the point. Even 10 years later, I still have a great time when listening to this remix in and out of the game of Smash. I actually find it funny that I put two jazzy renditions of Iwadari music together on my tier list. I might as well call this man the king of jazz music in video game compositions, since he made these two remixes, Air and Top Man Stage, and the ultimate remix of Light Plane, just to name a few. And one more that I've yet to discuss on my tier list, but I'm pretty sure some of you know what remix I'm referring to. I will get to that one in due time. But when looking back on ranking this remix in my drafts, I was conflicted on putting this remix so high up due to the originality spectrum. Not only that, but some people could argue that this remix is an actual downgrade to the original song that was featured in Donkey Kong Country Returns. If you listen to both of them back to back, you can deduce that the original could be better, but maybe others could say that the Smash remix is the better rendition. Honestly, I could argue that both are amazing in their own right. I couldn't have batted an eye if the original Gear Getaway was put into Smash, but I'm actually thrilled that Iwadari made this awesome remix in the first place. Like I said before, Iwadari is a master when it comes to this type of musical composition, and I love how he just knows how to throw a party with his musical pieces. I mean, in a way, Smash is a quote-unquote party game to some, so it makes perfect sense on why this goes well in a free-for-all setting in Smash. But this can go well in a one-on-one setting too. I don't know, I just really dig this remix. Guess I'll see just how much backlash I'm going to be getting when I put this remix here on the tier list. But I'm confident that some people really like this remix as much as I do, and I think I'm happily content in that aspect. Jun Senoi returns for its second and last remix he made for the Smash series, with the only Sonic remix to ever be conceived in Smash, being Angel Island Zone. Is anyone still depressed that this is still the only Sonic the Hedgehog remix we ever got for Smash? I mean, I'm still a bit bitter about it. Well, depression aside, we still got a really fantastic remix from Mr. Sonic Guitar Man, and he went all out with the amount of time he put in for this remix. Which wasn't all that much since Sonic was a last-minute character to be put into Brawl. But hot damn, he seriously doesn't disappoint. Should probably talk about it first before I go into my delirious overhyped mode. This remix plays on the opening levels of the game, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, being Angel Island Zone, and it plays on both acts in this remix, making this a medley of some kind, like what was heard from the previously played White Land remix. Aside from the compressed music heard on the Sega Genesis, this remix returns a very hard rock oriented piece that very similarly replicates the style that Jun Senoi makes, which is great and should not be counted as a negative in the slightest. I mean, seriously, how could you not love this man and his music in the 3D Sonic games? This remix was also featured in the CD True Blue, The Best of Sonic the Hedgehog, so another rare Smash remix that was put into another form of musical media. Honestly, a very big honor. And while this being a hard rock piece, we also have a synth and a marimba being played for certain notes in the background, which also heavily encapsulates the original musical style of Sonic 3. Man oh man, how could anyone hate this remix? It just has so much fucking charm and oozes with personality. Like I said, Jun Senoi seriously outdid himself here. Unlike what I said from his other remix that he arranged in Smash, being the Mega Man 4 medley. I did think that the Mega Man remix was bland because it only featured a hard rock musical style with nothing really being distinct about it, even with the late Jun Senoi 90s style to it. Well, this Angel Island Zone remix seriously is a breath of fresh air, considering the added synth and marimba here makes it so much better and brings this piece full of life. If he put a few other instruments for that Mega Man remix, hell, even a synth would have been fine too, you could have seen that remix just as high as this one. Well, not all of the remixes are certified winners, and I guess I'm glad that the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog remix in Smash is certainly a great one to be had here. I couldn't have anything else otherwise. And from one amazing talented composer that made a Brawl remix to another, wow, that was a weird phrase, we have Motoi Sakurabu again, making this stunning Smash remix from the Mario Sports series of games. This is titled Mario Tennis and Mario Golf, and it covers both titles from the GameCube games Mario Power Tennis and Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. Basically, this remix plays out both of these games' respective title themes, tennis first and then golf second before looping back to tennis once again. But during the transition from tennis to golf, however, we have a little snippet of the doubles match theme from Mario Tennis way back on the Virtual Boy. What a super crazy call out to a game that no one even remembers, but still a neat little touch. Coming from both games' original themes, this Smash remix comes through with a progressive orchestra rock style of music, with guitars and a drum set, while loud brass horns, strings, and wind instruments make up for the melody of the remix. A synth is also shown in the background as well, keeping the fleetiness throughout the piece. And then we also have a neat piano and marimba solo that plays during the Mario Golf section. Man, this remix really has it all. Unsurprisingly, since I grew up on the GameCube, I used to play Mario Tennis and Golf all the time, either by myself or with friends. Such fun games. Wish the Mario Sports Switch releases lived up to their GameCube older brothers, but unfortunately paled in comparison. But let's get back with this Smash remix. The original themes were awesome, but they really lacked that oomph to make it truly outstanding. Thank God that this Smash remix exists, cause this definitely has that heart-pounding tension that I crave, in and out of a Smash battle. given that the Mario Tennis rendition has that exciting orchestra rendition, while the Mario Golf section has a more tropical, whimsical style, but still keeps that liveliness about it if you're in a competitive setting. If you are unfamiliar, Motoi Sakuraba did happen to make all the music for every single Mario sports game, starting with Mario Golf on the Nintendo 64, so he is a mastermind when it comes to these games' musical compositions, and I'm very thankful he made a mashup from the two magnum opus of Mario sports games. We've arrived at our last ARMS remix for the tier list, and also Atsuko Asahi's last Smash remix that she composed as well. I shouldn't really be too hard on her when she made my least favorite Smash remix of all time. If you've been paying attention, I actually put all of her other composed remixes for Smash within the top 200 of my tier list. So I have to give her some credit for making some amazing music, and I won't berate her anymore about that dumb remix. Okay, let's actually talk about this one now. And let me tell you, what a bop this track is. This is Ramen Bowl that came from the Switch game ARMS and plays on the Ramen Bowl stage, which is also the character Min Min's home stage as well. Following what was heard from the original game's music, the Smash remix takes the same type of instrumentation, such as the Iru playing parts of the melody for the remix. However, the original was a synthy type of song, and I thank the Lord that this remix has no synth in sight. The remix makes it more natural and upbeat with a bass guitar, drum set, and a set of bongos for the background. And then we have the main stars of the show, the newly added electric guitar and piano, which play throughout this entire piece. Both instruments play in tandem and complement each other so well, while not trying to one-up or drown out the sound from one another. Jeez, name a more iconic duo than these two guys right here. I'll wait. Oh, I guess some might be thinking about the electric guitar and the violin being the better duo instead. Well, you guys got me there. Even though the piano isn't as hype as the violin, I still think it is such a unique and fantastic instrument to be played here, instead of the violin. The Iru is pretty much the stand-in from the violin regardless, but some of the other instruments can shine just as bright as the violin, this time being the piano here. Man, the piano has so much style. I love the piano solo at the middle portion of this piece. It's so swanky and fun, and I'm just really having a good time in general when this remix plays in the background for my Smash matches. The electric guitar is no slouch either, with it also having some unique solos too. And we can't forget about the percussion here providing a really groovy beat. Coupled with the fact that we have some unique Japanese instruments popping in and out, a few chants from an unsuspecting chorus and key measures with an awesome bass guitar solo at the end of the remix, with some cool clapping sounds makes this such a great time to be had here. Man, how is this remix not talked about much at all? I guess this being an ARMS song and a lot of Smash fans hate the sight of Min Min being a plague of the game might be a good reason, but that is just a random guess. Really hoping that some people see the light of this Smash remix, cause this is such an amazing piece of music. And for key listeners, you might be aware that this remix kinda sounds like the track Dragon Driftway from Mario Kart 8. Atsuko Asahi did happen to also make that music piece for that game as well, so the similarities match up pretty well. Seeing how this is a pretty popular track to play in Mario Kart 8, I find it really hard to believe that the Ramen Bowl remix isn't as popular. Might just be me, but yeah, this remix is a definite top tier track. If you don't think so, I think you should probably take the hatred goggles off and just see how amazing this music piece is. And unsurprisingly, we have another franchise and composer ender for the tier list, being Tekken and Nobuka Todo respectively. Funny enough is that I believe I was seriously unkind to both the Tekken franchise and Nobuka Todo for the music they provided. Tekken for being the electronic pop type of musical style, which I'm not the biggest fan of, and Todo for having some really interesting visions in her music compositions. This last Tekken remix for my tier list I'm a really big fan of, however. This here being Karma from Tekken 6 Bloodline Rebellion, and this plays on the stage called Electric Fountain. Yes, unlike Distance Out from a couple of spots back, we finally have some stage music from Tekken that was put as a remix for Smash. And also yes, this was the remix I was talking about during my explanation of Distance Out, when I was contemplating on if I was gonna put Karma or Distance Out as my favorite Tekken remix for Smash. Distance Out does have a little bit of an originality problem, so I ended up putting Karma over it. And, oh boy, this is going to be hard for me to say to all of you, but I like the Smash remix of Karma more than the original version. Ooh, yeah, I'm definitely going to hell for saying that. I know that the original version of Karma is iconic and a fan favorite for the Tekken franchise. I see why it is very popular, and I don't hate the original version, mind you. I think it is fine in its own right, but I also think it might be a little bit overrated. Oh geez, I can see the people coming with pitchforks to my house as I speak. Personally, I believe Abyss of Time is the best Tekken original track, and you can also hear that in Smash as well, but I'm going off topic a bit here. A big reason why I like this Smash remix of Karma is because it takes a few original inspirations over the original stage theme. I'm not going to be listing everything that was changed here, but the Smash remix mostly focuses on that middle portion from the original song. All throughout the Smash remix, it uses that middle portion melody with different types of variations to spice up the music throughout the remix. To me, I feel like it was a good change since the beginning portion of the original Karma was kinda bland and not very invigorating to me. The Smash remix just gets straight to the point with a super cool intro, and the intro doesn't overstay its welcome by bringing us to the melody a few seconds later, where all the action is happening. And this is also the main reason why I didn't put the Smash remix of Karma way back over from the 350s video, where I did end up putting Moonsider's First ad on my tier list, since I believe the original Moonsider's First is just a little bit better than the Smash remix. A lot of people really don't like the Smash remix of Karma, while a majority actually really like the Smash remix of Moonsider's First. It's probably because Yoko Shimomura created that remix and everyone loves her music renditions. I mean, I really love her music too, but it feels like a lot of people love to dick ride her music. But that's besides the point. Man, just typing this script out really pains me because I'm going to be causing a lot of stir in the Tekken and Smash communities. I can just feel it. I also never played Tekken 6 Bloodline Rebellion and Tekken 7. In fact, my first Tekken is the recent Tekken 8, so I have no nostalgia value between these two very popular original Tekken songs. So I might be talking out of my ass here. I think I might have some second opinions if I did happen to play Tekken in my prime and to experience playing those games with the original music, but I never had the luxury of knowing just how these music pieces mean to a lot of people. Thankfully, Tekken 8 has a jukebox mode where I can play both of these original songs in matches, so I can experience it in some way. Regardless, I think the Smash remix of Karma is just simply great, and it really gets me going in my Smash fights. Karma and Distance Out are the only Tekken remixes I have that are in the highest probability tabs for my music on the Mishima Dojo stage. I get why this isn't a tremendous fan favorite, but I believe Nobuka Todo really did a great job with this remix. She really mixes things up from the original, and the continuous boom and synth and drum kit makes this a fun time to be had in my Smash matches. And that is why this remix will be ranked at number 40 on my tier list. Well, I guess we're also coming to our last Pac-Man remix now. Do I even consider this to be a Pac-Man remix? I mean, this does play on the Pac-Land stage after all, but this is from the arcade game Dragon Spirit. I think it is safe to call this the last Namco remix on the tier list. How does that sound? Fitting since I already covered the last Tekken remix for this project. Well, anyways, now we got the aforementioned Dragon Spirit remix to talk about, being Area 1. This is a pretty self-explanatory title on where this plays at. If you thought this plays at the very first level of the game, then you are correct and deserve a cookie from me. The original song was a 8-bit chiptune bop that used the FM synthesizer to play the music throughout the game. The Smash remix instead uses a hard rock adaptation with the same tempo structure. You can already tell what instruments are being used here due to the hard rock style being the electric guitar mostly playing the melody, with some key parts being played on the synth, and then the bass guitar and drum set are being played in the background. Given that this is a hard rock type of remix, this was already going in as one of my favorite tracks to play in a game of Smash. The electric guitar is surprisingly great to listen to as a main melody, being that it is very electrifying but not all that bold and brash. It has a perfect mixture of that lighthearted feeling while being very down to earth and heavy at the same time. You can definitely feel that in the middle of the remix where the electric guitar has that sort of flanging and phase shifting type of distortion, similar to what was found in the Big Blue remix from Melee. Hoping some people could get what I'm putting down here. I just really think that this is a great remix to listen to in and out of Smash. Gee, I wonder who made this remix. Wait a sec, Maki Kurioka? The arranger who made remixes such as the Duck Hunt medley, the Wii Fit U medley, the fucking Freaky Forms medley? What the fuck, seriously? She made this remix? Wow, I'm actually quite impressed that she managed to make the banger that is this remix. Especially coming from that Duck Hunt medley that she made in Ultimate, where all the hard rock instruments are playing a jumbled mess with little to no cohesion. This remix, on the other hand, you can actually hear what was going on and it sounds actually pretty amazing. I'm truly impressed that Maki Kurioka made this arrangement. Great job. I knew she had it in her to make something spectacular considering her track record. But I will put it here on my tier list only being just an average hard rock composition, even though I do really like this remix. I will still get to more only hard rock remixes later down on the tier list. It is my favorite type of musical style, of course, but since a lot of other top tier remixes use a whole bunch of original musical styles, I think it would be fair to include those remixes a bit better than this one. But when listening to this remix the first time while playing on the Pac-Land stage, I was truly impressed and I definitely put this remix as the top of my probability tabs on my music for the Pac-Land stage. I really wish a lot of more quote-unquote Pac-Man remixes followed this type of modern music arrangement instead of going all old school. But what can you do? I'm happy that there were old school remixes such as this one that made the cut in the first place. Coming across another banger from Michiko Naruke is the next Legend of Zelda remix. This is from the DS game Spirit Tracks, titled Full Steam Ahead. This song plays throughout the adventure when Link hops aboard the Spirit Train and travels across it to various destinations in Hyrule. The original song is a very adventurous theme that was led by a pan flute for the melody, but had very simplistic instruments for its background, such as an acoustic guitar, banjo, and a few percussion instruments, with hints of string instruments scattered throughout the piece. The Smash remix keeps the pan flute as its main instrument of choice for the melody, at least for the first half, but the background instruments are much better in comparison to the compressed original DS track. We have much more profound acoustic guitar and banjo that add a much needed kick to spice up the piece, with a cool drum set setting the tone and some string and woodwind instruments to add some serenity. Then we come to the second half of the remix, which brings us to the orchestra bits. Man, this orchestra is amazing and complement that adventurous vibe. It all culminates into something so magical that you just want to hear over and over again. Hearing this back on the Spirit Track stage back on Smash 4 for the 3DS never got old to me, and I get super pumped when this gets picked in a game of Smash. Even though the originality might be a key factor on why this shouldn't be up super high on the tier list, but I simply think that this remix deserves the praise it rightfully needs. Every single instrument plays a key part on making this piece so enjoyable, and it provides great action as well for a high adrenaline game of Smash. The acoustic guitar and banjo for that first part of the remix is probably my favorite part of the remix, while the iconic pan flute plays the melody. You never really hear anything like this until this remix was released back then, and it was so cool to me. I don't know what to tell you, Michiko Naruke just knows how to make great arrangements, and if someone out there is somehow disappointed with this remix, then I think you just need to get your ears checked. This was easily my favorite Zelda remix in Smash. But another Zelda remix from Ultimate took that spot, however. I think you all know what it is, but we will get to that in due time. Halfway through today's video, we are at our next Banjo remix, which is vs. Klungo, the only Smash remix from this franchise that is from the sequel game, Banjo-Tooie. This plays whenever Banjo and Kazooie fights Gruntilda's right-hand man, Klungo, throughout the adventure. I still find it really funny that Klungo's boss fight theme got the Smash remix treatment, and not Gruntilda's. But what isn't funny is this remix. This shit goes really fucking hard. Similar to the original song, the Smash remix's main instrument of choice is the baritone saxophone and plays throughout the entirety of the remix. The first part of the song uses that baritone saxophone with a few simple instruments, such as a triangle, which you don't really hear often, and a few woodwind and brass horns. And then it cranks it up a notch at the middle point of the remix. String instruments, electric guitars, and an xylophone all come into play here, as well as a choir, and geez, the choir is amazing. I wouldn't have expected them to be played in this remix, considering this is all from a theme from a mini-boss fight. But I guess you shouldn't judge a henchman by his looks. Sometimes they can have some swagger to them. The remix also increases the tempo from the original song, and the added intensity from all the instruments makes this an exceedingly great time to be heard in a Smash game. This is also another one of those remixes that I don't feel that it gets talked about too much as well. This is a perfect theme to kick some ass to. Well, at least to me. Kinda sad that we don't really have any more boss battle themes for the Banjo-Kazooie series. Even more so that we don't have that final Gruntilda boss fight theme. Even though we can hear it in the aforementioned Gobi's Valley remix, but it's just not the same if it isn't by itself, I suppose. But we should be grateful that we at least got this in Smash, and Hideki Sakamoto made an excellent remix at that. Yep, we are now at the last Wii Fit remix for the tier list. And some people might think it's a bit weird that this remix of all things is to be put up so high for my tier list. But before I gush about how great this remix is, this is Super Hoop, one of the many balanced minigames that Wii Fit has, where you move your hips as if you're twirling a hula hoop. This is a pretty fun game actually. Much like how most of the music that the original Wii Fit offered, the original song of Super Hoop was very simple with a groovy beat and melody that made you want to get up on your feet and do a little dance with. I know that sounds really silly, but trust me, it really does make you want to do one. I'm not lying. You should probably go listen to the original song after you're done watching this video. While I don't want to really dance while listening to a Smash remix, in fact I think this remix goes perfect with a beatdown, truth be told. The musical style boasts a more traditional bossa nova funky style with the main focus being the piano, which plays throughout the melody of this remix. Various percussion instruments are involved in this piece, with some added string instruments, bass and electric guitar, as well as a brassful trumpet soloist who appears throughout the remix. Such a cool little tune. Probably the most out-of-pocket remix to be put up so high. And yeah, I would definitely agree, if I wasn't the one who was making this tier list. But, oh man guys, this remix is just so groovy, and fun, and whimsical, and charming, and fresh, and charismatic, and... I'm saying a lot of ands, huh? I just can't help it. I love this remix so much, and I'm gonna stop pretending it isn't amazing. I do believe this remix is perfect for a showdown in a Smash game, maybe more so on an 8-player free-for-all type of ordeal, but I really like it in a one-on-one setting as well. Sure, the remix starts out simple enough, but the build-up pressure by adding in more and more instruments as the remix goes on just makes my enjoyment of the song get better and better. And then the ending with that trumpet solo standing out makes it so euphoric, and I get blown away about how exciting this all sounds. And then it comes back down to the simple side of things for the loop back to the beginning, and I just can't get enough of this never-ending cycle of pure epicness. Do yourselves a favor and give this remix a try next time you boot up a game of Smash. I know, it definitely isn't one of those in-your-face, super gratifying remixes, which is why I'm going to be putting this remix here. Those really intense remixes are coming later down the line, trust me on that. But this remix is no slouch either. It's perfect for a good actiony time in Smash, and a good remix to just kick back and relax to. Truly a remix that's perfect for both on those type of styles. Woohoo! More Mega Man remixes to cover. This one will be the second to last Mega Man Smash 4 remix in the lineup, being Shadow Man Stage from the NES title Mega Man 3. This obviously plays out when Mega Man goes through Shadow Man Stage, in order to confront the Robot Master and take him down. Just like with the other Mega Man remixes that were already featured on the tier list, this remix also uses an electronic rock and roll music style, with the synth being the main star of the show as the song's melody, and electric guitars, bass, and a drum set supporting it along the way. Even though the Smash 4 Mega Man remixes are littered with this type of musical style, I still love it very much, and will continue to do so in the foreseeable future. This shit slaps every single time I listen to it. If you see the man named Yusuke Takahama that composes music pieces such as this one, you know you are already in for a good time. I actually never considered Shadow Man Stage to be a prominent remix to me when this was released with Smash 4. Even though I thought it was good, it hadn't really caught my eye until I was making this project. Something about the melody and the intensity that this remix has brought me back the attention that this remix rightfully deserves. It just screams to everyone that this is a Mega Man remix and you don't want to mess with me, and that is awesome to me in a way. But there is a bit lack of originality to this remix, considering that the tempo is the same from the original, and the chiptunes sound alike fonts that are provided by the synth definitely has that old school Mega Man feel that was heard way back when. While good in its own right, it doesn't really have anything of value of it being new. Actually, my favorite Smash 4 Mega Man remixes all retain that old school charm, but I think keeping that old school feely goodness brings a lot to the table for these types of remixes. Like, yeah, this original game came out back in the early 1990s, and it had great music back then as it does now. What of it? I can safely say that no one is going to argue about that, right? Unless you are probably a Zoomer who has never touched an NES controller in their lifetime. Regardless, this is a high-class Mega Man remix, and should definitely be put as one of the best Smash remixes of all time. Next up on the Pokemon Remix chopping block is another Ultimate Remix that was featured in the Generation 7 titles Sun and Moon, this time being another two themes in one kinda deal. This is Battle Elite 4 and Battle Solgaleo or Lunala. As expected from the title alone, the first part of this remix starts off with the Battle Elite 4 theme, when the player challenges one of the Elite 4 members in the final portion of the game, and then the second half of this remix plays when the player confronts the legendary Pokemon of the region, Solgaleo or Lunala, depending on what version of the game you are playing on. The remix is another one of these orchestral rock musical styles that we can all admit is just amazing to be heard every single time without fail. As well as both music pieces featured here are also much faster than their original counterparts, and in turn are much more intense and vibrant to boot. I think it is no contest that this remix has to be the most intense music piece in all of Smash history, right? There could be a few other remixes that can go toe-to-toe in that intense factor, but this remix personally to me has to be the most jam-packed and intense remix to be featured in the entire Smash music lineup. And since I am basing my tier list off of that musical structure to be played in a Smash game, it comes to no surprise as to why I'm putting this remix really high up on my tier list. This is just so amazing to be heard while duking it out in a game of Smash, and hell, this will probably go really well in a fight in real life too. Whenever I get into a random fight out on the street, I want this remix to be played in the background while I take down my oppressor, or if I get beaten to a bloody pulp. Regardless, I would be having a good time when this remix gets played. With me saying all this praise, why did I happen to put this remix down at rank 34? Well, as mentioned before, I do want the songs in Smash to be intense for a good action-filled match, but sometimes the intensity of a remix can be a drawback as well. Unlike from what I said about Super Hoop, I personally don't want to hear this music piece everywhere. It can be a bit too loud and noisy, which is good for fighting, but not something to be listened to when you want some downtime. I would like a remix that has good mixture of hyper-intense mayhem while still having some unique and magical qualities to it as well. But don't let my stupid negative opinions confuse you for not putting this remix near the top, and I did put this remix above Super Hoop after all. This is still a fantastic remix, and I assume a lot of people are going to be saying that about this too. But I also assume lots of people will put this remix in their personal top 25, so sorry for not doing so on my tier list. I think everyone already knew where this remix was generally going to be placed. The amazing Yoko Shimomura returns with another one of her superclass remixes on the tier list. In fact, and I'm sorry to say this to you all, this is her last remix on my Smash Remix tier list too. Very sad, but it had to be done. Let's go ahead and talk about this remix. This is Cass's theme from the newly released game, at the time, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This plays whenever Link encounters the singing songstress from the Rito clan, Cass, throughout his adventure, where he plays his accordion in tune with an ancient tale for Link to hear to find and explore secrets in the game. And that accordion is no lie. In the original game, Cass was only ever seen and heard using a solo accordion, and plays at a slow tempo for the ambience of the ancient song he sings in Breath of the Wild. Now, I'm not too sure if these ancient songs he sings are really his own personal theme, but since Cass's theme is remixed in Ultimate, a fighting game, of course that the tempo has been increased drastically and new instruments are now being used here, to make the music here more enjoyable to be used in the background for a fight. An orchestra which mostly comprises of string, brass, and percussion instruments in the background are now presented here, with the main lead of an accordion playing the melody is masterfully done here. Along with the accordion is a violin which comes in at the middle of the remix that plays the melody of the overworld theme from the first Zelda game nearing the end of the remix. I seriously can't get away with these oversaturated themes, can I? Well, the good news is that it plays at the end, and it is played very well here by the phenomenal accordion and violin duo, so I can't complain that much. The remix itself has a very good feeling jumpy excitement to it that you can't help but smile every time that opening section plays. You know you are already in for a treat once those first few notes hit. Every single freaking time, Yoko just cannot mess with her music. A shame that I put most of her most prominent remixes at the middle of my tier list, and a few of them at the bottom, since those types of remixes were hardly contendable due to them not being very upbeat and lively to be used as intense music in a good one-on-one setting. But this remix here is the exception. Yoko absolutely killed it with the upbeat and lively tension that I am looking for, as well as creating stunning and beautiful music that she is known for. I can't wait to hear what other creations Yoko has been cooking up in her future game soundtracks. I'm sure all of them will be bangers, that much is true. Don't worry everyone, I still have some more Fire Emblem remixes left on my tier list. I know you all must be so happy about seeing some as top tier remixes for Smash, right? Yeah, not really. I know how about 75% of the Smash community hates this franchise. But you all have to admit that the Fire Emblem franchise does have some amazing music pieces, which includes this one. Coming to another medley, we have the Shadow Dragon medley, which these music pieces come from the first Fire Emblem game, Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light on the original NES. 3 songs are played in this medley. First up is the song where it is the enemy's turn where the enemy moves across the map. Then plays the introductory cutscene for each of the chapters on what the army is up to at the beginning of the chapter. Then lastly is the song where the player moves Marth's army across the battlefield. Very simple, and all of these music pieces play across the entire game on every single chapter, so you won't miss them when you hear them. The musical style for this remix brings out a synthy techno orchestra hybrid, similar to a lot of Mega Man Smash remixes in a way. A synth is played that resembles what was heard from the original NES game that mostly plays the background features, while an orchestra plays the melody of the songs. Oof, my 13-year-old self didn't realize how great this type of musical style would be. Bringing that amazing modern orchestra with the old synthy sounds found from the old games are truly something so great. We had a few remixes from Melee and Brawl that had this similar type of style, such as Brinstar Death's and the Kid Icarus title theme for example, but it never really occurred to me that putting the old and new music together would just be so epic until listening to the Shadow Dragon medley. My favorite part of the remix has to be that middle point, which is the introductory cutscene section, where the synth takes over as a melody with its progressions, and then we also hear an organ coming together as well, bringing in a very serious and menacing tone shift from the upbeat and somewhat adventurous nature of the first and third sections of the remix. I was in awe whenever that second section popped out of nowhere with its grueling aggressive feel. Yes, it left a huge impact on me because this remix made its way up to the 32nd spot on my tier list. I'm pretty sure that not a lot of you are going to have this remix up there on their own personal tier list, but to me, this remix means a lot. Not just coming from a Fire Emblem fan standpoint, but just how cool and creative this remix was at the time type of standpoint. Making the orchestra feel very fleshed out and fulfilling, and then the synth bringing in that old school flair was really awesome to hear at the time. I don't know, it just was so cool to listen to as a kid, I guess. Definitely impacted a nostalgic take for this remix, but I really like it when playing it in a game of Smash too. Just has that awesome fighting and adventurous spirit that I can't get enough of. Whoa, my eyes aren't deceiving me, right? In Animal Crossing Remix, this high up on the tier list? And what's even crazier is that Maki Kirioka is also the arranger for this remix too? What is the world coming to? And no, I haven't deceived anyone. I really did put up this remix up super high on the tier list because it is just that good. This will be the last Animal Crossing remix as well as the last Maki Kirioka arranged remix on the tier list. This is the title theme for the DS game, Animal Crossing Wild World, which plays at the title theme for the game. Not only does the title theme play, but the middle and ending sections play the 3 PM and 2 AM themes as well, before moving back to the title theme, making this another medley of sorts. And wow, composers just can't get enough of that 2 AM theme, considering that this is the third time that the theme has been featured in a Smash remix. Kinda crazy how all that works out. Also kinda funny how there was also another Wild World title theme remix that was made back in Brawl. So it's a bit weird to see two versions of the same theme as separate remixes. This easily could have been remedied if this remix was called the Animal Crossing Wild World Medley, since this remix revolves around 3 different songs in the game. But once again, that's how I would have depicted these types of titles to avoid confusion. Anyways, let's talk about the actual remix now. The musical style for this remix is a grand orchestra piece with some light electric guitar and drum set flavor mixed in to create this sensational track. All themes have their tempo increased from their original songs to make this remix so upbeat and lively all throughout, with hardly any slowdown portions or soft music, to make this the perfect song to be played in a Smash game. Yeah, I was just as shocked as you all when I first listened to this remix back when Ultimate came out. I was so sure that remixes for the Animal Crossing title theme or the Happy Home Designer theme that was also made in Ultimate were going to be my favorite new remixes for Animal Crossing. But surprisingly no, this remix is just so charming and badass to fight in a game. I had my head bopping and was humming the melody for a solid week and couldn't get the song out of my head. That in turn made me such a fanboy to this Animal Crossing song that Maki Kirioka created, and that was something that I never thought that I would ever say, but I did anyways, cause that is the cold hard truth. The fast-paced orchestra melody with the sweet guitars and drum set all come together to create truly something amazing here. That's not to say that there were already a ton of full orchestra remixes in Smash that do this type of thing, but this one just means something to me, that it likes to take chances and show the world that it is a great music piece, or something like that. I don't know what I'm really blabbing about anymore, so why don't we go ahead and move on to the next remix now. 5 more to go to end today's episode. Oh man, did anyone else get goosebumps listening to this opening section as well, or is it just me? This Smash remix has to be my favorite opening sequence of all time. Unless a new Smash game comes around and a new remix happens to have an even better intro, I don't think anything could top this. Sorry for the glazing, I did put this remix up pretty high on my tier list after all. This is the theme of Solid Snake that is from the MSX2 game titled Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake back in 1990. This theme plays through the game's opening cutscene where you can also see the staff credits at. Kinda makes you feel like you're watching the opening intro for an actual movie, yeah? Well, that's Hideo Kojima for ya. The remix takes inspiration from the original intro theme with its grungy electronic synthesized feel, but the tempo has been increased and now adds in awesome electronic drum beats, electric guitar segments, and more orchestral elements such as horns and a booming bass drum in the background. This remix is one of the few that is very down to earth and serious, which is great in a Smash game. And yeah, I love to play this song on the Shadow Moses Island stage where the remix originates on. It is definitely a perfect fit. But I also love the fact that this remix is just so intense and feels like an insane adrenaline rush or something that you're expecting to be epic. This is like one of those songs that you love to listen to and just imagine a headcanon of what would actually happen in your own fantasy-like scenarios or AMVs. For some odd fucking reason, and this is way out of context, I just love to think about the entire Metal Gear Solid plot, and I think about what would go down in the game's cutscenes as the music progresses whenever I listen to this remix. This is practically the only Smash remix that I ever think about something that is so wild and cringy. But that is part of the charm that makes this remix so great. I can't be the only person that thinks about these types of things, right? Well, I just think that this remix is just amazing for something to vibe out to, and something that you want to listen to while fighting in a game of Smash. The orchestra horns and bass drum are very refreshing, and that ending electric guitar solo to bring it back over to the loop is eccentric. And the synthesized melody of the intro plays all throughout the remix from beginning to end. It should get dull and boring, but it doesn't, and helps keep everything in line when the other instruments play their expected part. Geez, there are practically a million things that I could say about this remix that makes it deserving to be top tier. But if I say any more, we could be here for hours, so I'll stop myself and move on to the next remix. Yeah, another Mega Man remix to talk about in this section of the video. If anyone has been keeping track, but I wouldn't have expected you all to, is that there will be 2 more Mega Man remixes to talk about after this one on the tier list. So there's my little spoiler warning for the future. Right now, however, we are going to cover Napalm Man's stage from the NES game Mega Man 5. As you would probably guess, this plays on the stage where Napalm Man resides, where Mega Man goes through to confront him. This remix also features the Get Weapon theme at the middle portion of the remix. Unlike the chiptune music style of the original game, this is a heavy rock approach this time around with a few key synth element measures scattered around the music track. Now, as I said before, that hard rock is my favorite music style to be put in any type of media, Smash included. But I never really wanted my own biased likes to be the mainstay of top tier remixes in Smash. I've had a few hard rock remixes not making it to the top 100 of my tier list, because I felt like they were too samey or didn't have any unique values to put it at the top tier pedestal. Even if I do really like them, and I would definitely put them as great background music choices to be put in any type of Smash game. However, this remix just resonates to me in a way that I just really enjoy. It's something about the melody that I just think it's so soothing and enjoyable, and the electric guitar goes to town on that melody with style. The backing of the bass guitar and drum set make it so exciting, and those key synth measures I mentioned also bring in that old school Mega Man charm that I just love. Especially when it comes to the looping of the end to beginning of this remix, where the synth just does this cool doo sound to reset the remix. Definitely one of the best original loops of a Smash remix to me personally. I feel like Napalm Man stage doesn't really get a lot of credit as well, similar to the Hard Man stage remix where I put a couple of spots back. Seems like it's another obscure remix to some, and I also feel that way about this remix a long time ago. Just thought it was another epic hard rock remix, which isn't bad, but not really noteworthy to me, until I started this project. Man, oh man, I just can't stop listening to this amazing melody with the electric guitars now. It's so mesmerizing to me. And the ending portion coming for the key raise is the cherry on top. This is just such a blast to play all the time. It's sad to see Naoto Kubo only produced his one and only remix for the Smash series. He previously made music for Super Mario games, such as Super Mario Odyssey, where he made the Underground Moon Caverns track for that game. So if you're thinking that there is some correlation to that track from this Smash remix, he made both of them, so it isn't a conspiracy. Dude just makes some sick hardcore music. Now that I mention this, you know what else that is weird but interesting that I figured out? Both Naoto Kubo and Yumi Takahashi made Mega Man remixes for Smash Ultimate, and they both only made one remix from Mega Man 5 of all things. Wow, what are the chances of that occurring? Probably just a coincidence, but I don't know, seems like it was intentional. And if it was intentional, that is actually pretty funny that they even thought about doing something like that in the first place. Trust me guys, you aren't being deceived by this as well. I did put my favorite Yoshi remix in Smash at rank 28. This is the Brawl remix of Yoshi's Island that appeared in Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island on the Super NES. This plays on the multiple overworld levels of the game, kinda like the athletic theme from the other 2D Mario games in a way. This is the jazz remix I mentioned back at the Gear Getaway portion of this video, where none other than Noriyuki Iwadare takes the helm of this remix. And yet again, he made an amazing rendition of this classic laid-back theme. The Smash remix increases the tempo of the original song and spices up the melody with brass horns such as trumpets and saxophones, while the background consists of a bunch of percussion instruments, such as the drum set, tambourine, and a marimba. And then we come to the star of the show, if you really want to call it that, is the harmonica, which comes in the second section of the beginning portion of the remix, then appears Jurassically throughout the remix. Now, I'm pretty sure some of you think that this harmonica might be a bit annoying, and I kinda was too when I first heard this back in Brawl. He just appears out of nowhere and is a bit too rambunctious and loud compared to the amazing jazz ensemble, and I can see the hate behind it. But over time, when this remix was brought to Smash Ultimate, I didn't really understand the hate behind his harmonica player. It just sounds so original, quirky, and fun that made me double take my original qualms about it. I find it to be really enjoyable and different and made me appreciate this remix a bit more now. Originally I had this remix at the bottom end of my top 100 remixes, but now I can safely put this remix here. It has a lot of charm, passion, and amazing hyper-adrenaline qualities. I love when this song gets picked in a game of Smash because I can just bop my head into its wacky absurdity. The music is great, the charm is great, this remix is just all around great. Can we just admit that? Thanks. It's also funny to think about that this remix appears in the Subspace Emissary mode, but it was severely out of context for this specific part of the campaign. It basically plays when Diddy Kong, Fox, and Falco fend off against the giant Shadow Diddy Kong, and then they traverse out of the level to try and rescue Donkey Kong. Yeah, super out of place for this song to be playing in that section of the game, even when Yoshi isn't even present. But for them playing this remix in the Subspace Emissary mode at all, brought people in to enjoy this remix even more than if it didn't show up to begin with. I really thank the Smash team showcasing this remix, cause this remix is just such a bop. I hope you guys think it is too. Okay, one more medley to talk about for today, and this is possibly the most favorited Melee remix of all time to a lot of people. Or maybe it is Gourmet Race, or Brimstone. Temple? Whatever. It is a popular Melee remix, that much is true. This is the Pokemon Red and Blue medley, and 3 songs are listed here for the first generation of Pokemon titles. First up we have the Battle Trainer theme, which plays when the player fights against another Pokemon trainer. Then plays the Battle Gym Leader theme, when the player goes through and fights one of the 8 gym leaders in the game. And finally, the Battle Wild Pokemon theme, which plays when, yeah, you guessed it, the player fights a wild Pokemon throughout the adventure. The Smash remix uses a mix of techno-synth with electronic orchestral instrumentation that sounds very airy and whimsical. And yeah, I already know what some are going to say, that I have this electronic synth remix higher than I should, because I'm not the biggest fan of the synth and music arrangements. Well, shut the fuck up, cause this shit right here, this is my childhood. Oh man, I love Pokefloats, the stage that this remix resides back in Melee. It is a crime to never see that stage return to Smash Ultimate, or even see a Pokefloats 2 with newer Pokemon from the new generations. Come on Nintendo, I thought you guys liked money, cause I will buy it day one if that was made as DLC. So yeah, I have a huge nostalgia boner for this remix. It was just so vastly different from the other music choices that Melee had to offer at the time. It is so whimsical and vibey, and the melody is another mesmerizing tune that you just love to hear all the time, even if it is in electronic format. In fact, if the remix was made in a classic orchestral type of music style, I don't think that this would even come close to being everyone's favorite. The electronic music really makes this remix so great. I know I shit-talk the Pokemon games a lot, but the music for the games, all-time classics. No one can ever hate this series' music, let's be real. I wouldn't blame anyone if this is your favorite Melee remix, or in fact as a top 10 remix period for the Smash series. But I gotta be honest, a lot of the newer remixes that were made in Smash just had to beat this one out. I don't know if this was recency bias or that I just think that the other remixes that were made in the newer titles are better than this one. But one thing for sure is that this remix is top tier. What else is there to say? Last up for today, we have the last Mario Kart remix on this tier list. I'm going to take a wild guess that a lot of you probably forgot that this series even existed in Smash. But I don't blame you, not a whole lot of remixes to go around for Mario Kart. But I do know that this one is the best one, and for very good reasons. It's just too damn good to not be, simple as that. This is the main circuit track from the 3DS title Mario Kart 7. This plays throughout the circuit tracks the game has to offer, such as Toad and Mario Circuit. But this is a small medley of sorts too, being that a small snippet of Neo Bowser City and the title theme for the game plays in the middle portion of the remix, and also another snippet of Toad's Turnpike from Mario Kart 64, and the Luigi or Mario Circuit music tracks from Mario Kart Wii play in that middle to ending portion of this remix as well. Jesus, this remix has pretty much everything, does it? Unlike from the synthy rock style of composition the original 3DS version had, this remix instead takes a more authentic rock and roll style with huge brass horn leads taking center stage to play the melody of the song, with some unique organ sections as well as also providing a synth in some measures. The remix also increases the tempo from all of the original songs taking place here, so it is quite the fast-paced ride from start to finish. I can't tell you enough how awesome it was to listen to this remix the first time I did back when it was released in Smash 4, and in this case, from the Club Nintendo Smash 4 CD which this was featured at. Compared to the rest of the Smash 4 remixes that were already mentioned in this project, this remix was a breath of fresh air and a great remix to be played in a game of Smash, especially on the Smash stage Mario Circuit that appears in Mario Kart 8. It's kinda weird that we have a remix of Mario Circuit from Mario Kart 7 and not from 8's. But to be frank, I'm not the biggest fan of Mario Kart 8's rendition of its Circuit music track. I actually prefer Mario Kart 7's version, so a good call from Junichi Nakatsuru for choosing the superior version. Also, I love the little knockbacks of past themes all across the Mario Kart franchise that were put into this remix, to not make it too bland to listen to. I'm sure it is no contest that everyone would put this remix as the best Mario Kart remix to be featured in Smash. Unless you are fans of Waluigi Pinball, which, that's fine, I guess. I'll just assume myself as the one with the better music taste here. This remix just keeps on going and never lets up on how great the horns or the organ are in the first half, while getting an amazing electric guitar solo for the second half of the remix. Every instrument has a part to play here and I just can't get enough of it. Well, I can't get enough of the other remixes that I haven't even mentioned yet, so I'll be giving this remix rank 26. But don't be surprised if I manage to put this remix in my top 20s if I do happen to make another tier list revision in the future. Hey y'all, SSB100 here, and thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch today's video. And wow, 25 more remixes to go. Crazy to think that I'm almost finishing up the series now when it felt like an eternity trying to get everything all together back in March of 2023. A bit bittersweet, but I'm not done yet. I have one more video to go now. The finish line is just around the corner and I can't wait to show you all the top 25 best Smash remixes of all time in the final video of this project. I think I've pretty much covered the basis of how I've been making my video series, such as the editing process, the voiceovers, the gameplay, the information. All of that goes into each and every one of my videos with care. I hope people still find enjoyment out of them. But I guess there is one other thing to talk about that I forgot, and that'd be the thumbnails that are on my videos. So, I don't know a single thing about Photoshop, and I'm not a very artistic person, so I really wanted someone to create my thumbnails for me. I landed on two people that have done a great job creating my thumbnails for this project. The first three thumbnails are provided by Shifter, and then the rest were provided by Mado Slicer. Both of these dudes can be found in the links provided in the description. They were such a huge help in creating these thumbnails from my super wacky visions. I provided ideas for each of them and took screenshots of character poses from Ultimate, and then they gave me these awesome thumbnails. Without them, I don't think my videos would have caught a lot of attention than they have. So I personally want to thank both Shifter and Mado Slicer for their awesome work. Speaking about Mado Slicer, he also has his own YouTube channel and does weekly Monster Hunter Monday videos where he provides gameplay from each of the games. They are super cool. If you're into Monster Hunter and are interested in the new game Monster Hunter Wilds, definitely check that out. He would super appreciate your support. Alright, that should be it for now. Gotta get back into editing my very last video of the series. Can't wait to show you all what the best Smash remixes are. Until then, stay safe out there and see you next time.